Good morning once again. And so great to hear how each committee is organizing and forming their objectives. So it's great to see what's happening. For those that might not know me, I'm from ILM St. Croix, and I am the liaison to faith-based programs. I would like to start by commending Ms. Jana Ayala for the great work that she's doing with each and every one of the committees, and not only here in St. Thomas but also on St. Croix. Some of you were at the luncheon we had at Government House and had an opportunity to hear a little bit about the different programs and what the Governor Liaison to Faith-Based function really is about. And it's about building bridges and being able to assist the faith-based community with different maybe questions or concerns that they may have in reference to the government and how government operates, and finding ways how we can partner and work together to be able to better serve our community. And what is happening here is basically that by forming these different committees, you have a way how to serve more effectively the community. Some of you, I know you're not a stranger to the VI Interfaith Anti-Violence Coalition. I understand that Pastor Monroe, and most of you know him, at one point shared there was some sort of initiative to develop and establish the VI Interfaith Anti-Violence Coalition. And I just wanted to kind of share with you that we're moving towards that direction, and we need the support from the faith-based community to do the same. So the VI Interfaith Anti-Violence Coalition serves as a liaison between COPS community and congregation to promoting healthy neighborhood while minimizing crime and reviving activism within our churches. The membership is comprised of clergy, local pastors, associate pastors, ministers, elders, evangelists. We also want to include chaplains and counselors, because we know there are counselors in different churches. It focuses on lessening neighborhood tensions and the burdens on government, combating community deterioration and juvenile delinquency, and further supporting police officers, community, and houses of worship. We know we have a great problem here in our community with violence, and one of the things that I heard that was great from the prison committee is that they don't only want to focus on the prisoners, but they want to focus on prevention. And the Interfaith Anti-Violence Coalition basically does that. It assists not only in the moment when a violent crime occurs, but also in preventing. So the council will participate in activities that help the community and support personnel of the VIPD. And this is basically a draft. We would like to hear from you any suggestions or ideas or concerns that you may have. What we're looking is to work with the VIPD as a community partner, act as a liaison between the police department and the community, advice on community concerns, offer solutions to community problems, interface with commanding officers, support youth programs, support crime prevention programs, support VIPD community affairs initiatives, collaborate with other clergy groups, community agencies, and provide spiritual counsel. So I don't want to go over the whole draft plan that we have here. But I also want to give you the opportunity to take this with you, to review it, and also offer any suggestions, concerns, any area that you think we can tweak. We are in the initial phase having discussions with the commissioner for the Virgin Islands Police Department and other officials within government, so that we can effectively support the Virgin Islands Police Department and also provide services that are needed within our community. In a moment when someone is killed, the church plays an integral role in coming out and providing counseling. I know most of the times we do the funerals, but we have to try to find ways, and I know most of you are doing it, to prevent these violent crimes. So what the government is saying is we want the church involvement. We want to work in a more structured form because we know the church is involved. We know you all provide counseling to the victims, to the family members, provide support. Most of the times the church also provides donations to be able to help with the funeral arrangements and different initiatives that are related to violent crimes. But we want to structure it a little bit better, and we want the church to be front and center, or the faith-based community to be front and center in assisting in preventing these violent crimes and coming forward when these violent crimes happen. So we want to have a coalition in place that can be able to speak to these matters and will be able to assist in these matters. So I just wanted to share this with you and maybe hear some input or feedback in reference to it. Pastor Hazel?
Yes, I was in New York.
Or concerns, yeah.
This year, last year.
Oh, I think they want to give you a microphone.
Okay, it's streaming. I was in New York last year 2 times. I went to visit at this church whose pastor heads that same thing in New York, and there were quite a lot of, especially in different communities. There are Jewish communities that deals mainly with like Caribbean people. So the pastors were able to do exactly what you're doing. They wanted, there was a problem in Trinidad. We have a lot of killings there with a lot of young people. So they took a team into Trinidad to actually train the whole operation there with them. I don't know if I'm sure they'll be willing, one or two, to come and help us to get this ongoing, because they told me about it. And there was one pastor from the Seventh Adventist Church who actually belongs to St. Thomas, who has the same position you have with the
Yeah, in Brooklyn with the 67%, yeah, I'm aware, Pastor Melrose.
Yeah, and the other one was from Trinidad, who basically I know. So I was thinking, rather than we invent something, these are guys who could, basically help us out, especially passing over cultural barriers and how to defend, because sometimes he says that he will go where if there's a Trinidadian person who committed a crime or anything, he might know even more than that community, more than the police will know, and be confidential in the whole cross thing. So I think it's a good thing. When he told me, I thought it was a good thing. So if you need assistance in anywhere like that, contact a few guys who's doing it already. I'd be glad to assist and have them drop by for a session or two. All right?
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I would like to say that we have been in contact with the director of faith-based community initiatives in New York. And basically what we're doing is not reinventing the wheel, but seeing what has worked, what is functioning there, and adopting portion of that here, whatever fits within our culture and in our society. So yeah, thank you for that suggestion, and we are working in connection with them to make this possible. Any other questions or feedbacks or concerns in reference to this? The other thing is that training is necessary because we want to give it the proper structure, and we want the coalition to be a coalition that is recognized, that is respected within our community and also within the Virgin Islands Police Department. So in order to have that, then the structure has to be in place and the proper training has to be in place, and we have to be uniformed in what we do. Even though each one might have their own way of, ministering and touching the lives, but we have to have some sort of structure in place. So that's why training will be a part of it, and we will reach out to these organizations that already are doing it and already have trainers in place. But we cannot do it without the support of the religious leaders and the faith-based community, because it will be spearheaded, the coalition will be formed by the faith-based community. And the willingness to come out and assist and to serve in these areas is very crucial and important. And that's where the partnership and the bridge comes in, and working together. Any other questions? Yeah. Can you provide her with the mic?
Julia Bria. Within the faith-based anti-violence coalition, are we looking forward to dedicated times that you are going to, telephone numbers? How would we be continuously informed on what is actually going on? What is our particular place within this?
Yeah.
Or are we just sitting back and waiting?
Well, this is the first phase of it. So there are different phases to this. So basically, this morning is an introduction to the pastors or religious leaders that are here. The second phase then will be a general invitation. We'll send it out to all the religious leaders where they can come and also have a more formal introduction. Basically, what I wanted this morning was to be able to share and let you know the initiative that were taking place and to get some feedback and concerns from those that are present. And we have your numbers and information, so you will be invited then to the second phase, will be the structuring and seeing everyone who really wants to be involved and be part of the coalition. And then those that will be part of the coalition, then depending on how we decide, because we want to work in collaboration with you all, how we decide then to structure the coalition. For example, if we're going to work with different jurisdiction, and when a crime happens in that jurisdiction, then establish a captain, identify a pastor that is a religious leader that is within that community, then can spearhead that jurisdiction, that area, and then that person will be informed by the Virgin Islands Police Department when something happens within that jurisdiction, and then they would respond or call one of their members within that jurisdiction to come out and respond, depending the level of violence or crime that has been committed. So that's basically, I don't know if I kind of answered your question. Did I answer your question?
Oh, yes,
okay,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Mine is kind of a question, comment. Lately, I think all of us are here for that particular reason. We have seen things just continue to spiral in a not favorable manner. You know, but we are here because we want to be part of the solution.
Correct.
And that's to be commended. And for the last few months I've been thinking, when I drive in Savannah between 4 and 8 p.m., you see between 15 to 20 young men behind a red bar, gambling, shooting dice, arguing, and at some point an act of violence will take place. We focus on those who die, and we should. But 3 times that amount are injured by bullets and live. And many of them end up in a wheelchair for 20 and 30 years. Many of them end up with bullet moving in their bodies and are perpetually needing medical assistance for 20 and 30 years at $14,000 a year. So, I'm thinking, and I've been thinking about this for a few months. How do we get those young men as a community in Red Bar, behind a Red Bar, Hidden Valley, Contant, Cohen Terrace? How do we get them to re-engage in society in a meaningful way? Churches are going to have to be integral, in my opinion, in how that takes place. And part of that is going to require resources. Resources outside of the government so that the churches can have autonomy in how they interact and how they facilitate change with the young people. After you get a criminal background, that's a whole other set of hurdles. If small groups of churches can seed money and match that money with grants and hire those young men to work on the churches or in the community of the churches without, worrying about background check and you got to be 16. We put so many hurdles around following the U.S. model. It's failing there. I just want people to know that. We continue to follow a failing model. But if we can start to, like in Savon, 20 churches come together, every church commit $2,000 a year or a quarter, and we hire 10 people, part-time, 8 hours a week, and they fix the church, or they fix the gut, or they fix the school, and then they begin to see themselves having a little better life. But if we meet like this, and we sound good, and we look good, and then we go back to Savannah, is still going to be tonight. Don't take my word for it. Drive down there till about 3 o'clock. They start gathering. Even got people in wheelchairs now, hanging out. They got shot there in a wheelchair for the rest of their life and went back to the same spot to continue that life. So, kind of like a twofold, we, as a community, as a church family, we are required now to put boots to the ground, engage, and use some of the resources and tax benefits to maximize how we go forward with our young people. I just thought I would add that in there.
Thank you. I totally agree with your comment. And I think this is what this initiative is about. Coming together and not only speaking about it, but implementing and going out. And there are programs that, I'm coming to you, Pastor Hazel, that work in prevention or that work in rehabilitation and all the preventive alternatives. For example, I know one here in St. Thomas that is very good, My Brother's Workshop, that takes these young men off the street or at high risk young men and give them a stipend as they learn a trade, and they have been successful with many of these young men. So we do need to engage more, and I think we have to continue to have in the conversations that we're having to find different ways, because I don't have all the answers and Pastor Hazel doesn't have all the answers, but if we come together like what we're doing and we can share and bring these concerns, I believe we have the solution among us. We have the answers among us, but we have to also just come together and start implementing some of the things and working together. Pastor Hazel?
Writing from what the former senator spoken, last time we came together, I want to share with you an idea that you could, some people say it's impossible, but I don't believe nothing is impossible. We have the idea that we can't create anything that America would buy from us. We must take all the products and ideas from America. But I think we might be smart, but we have a brain.
Correct.
That's how I look at it. Before we had the, we call them the projects. We used to have what we call journeymen who employ youngsters after school, etc., to be mechanics. Help them with things like metal work, steel, basically even down to making shoes, shoemakers. What I was telling them the last time, and some people thought it was impossible, outside every major housing project is an area what we call in St. Thomas a business area. They zone the things, right? So then, like over here, as you go down the hill, right behind the fence of Ozalaris Court is Kmart. Then they bother the next low-income community again, and there is the business sector. Well, I believe that's a failing structure. From what I've seen being accomplished in the community. Is it possible, and is an idea, that within the housing communities, instead of we just put down all kinds of rules that and absent business from among us as black people within the context there, and have commercialism from America and Pizza Hut and everybody coming in to suck the money out of the communities, why don't we, at least in the bottom areas of some of these housing areas, transform them into, first teach people who want to go to certain businesses. We have funding for businesses already through our economic development bank. And rather than having, because I understand that the housing is coming back into the local government hand, I don't know if it happened already, to run them. And then in some areas in the housing area, bring back the idea of some self-esteem to businesses, that people can have a little store that want to sell specials. They want to sell something like seasonings, probably, that they go in their garden. Right there, right now, all they sell is drugs. So they can't say they sell illegal things and get sued for it. So the idea about it telling you we can't sell this and sell that is a joke. The idea that we need some structure to bring back within the community some worth that people can, the older men can teach their youngsters to get something done. And in closing, I'm going to finish. I was talking to an old man who was getting married at my church. Not from my church, but he came by for that. And he was telling me that at Pearson Gardens, he trained 2 boys who were in high school and taught them to make fishing pots, and taught them and tell them brings a little money every week. He will make a boat for them. He taught them how to make the boat. He taught them how to make the fishing pots. And these guys he's now retired. For black people, there's only 2 guys you see on the waterfront that is doing that particular trade. We're a pound of fish is like $7 now and $5. Mm-hmm. Think about if in that same community that they say you can't do this and can't do that. If you didn't do that at the Bay Shore and teach these guys to get into this business, who are now doing very well, they have their own home, they have cars, they're not on drugs, they're doing well. But one man doing that from the same community. I believe if he can do that, other older men with skills will want to pass on these skills.
Correct.
Should be able to do that within their community. So I would like you to research it and let me know how difficult that is. I like to be a part of making that revolution. To me, what we're doing now is just getting people not being productive, and from not being productive, we're getting much more murders and things in the community.
Correct.
And I think we are better off then than now.
Thank you, and that's great. I believe we can also reach out to some of our senators and kind of look out how we can make some changes and implement some of those ideas that you have. And also we have the University of the Virgin Islands and the Small Business Administration that provide different free training, how to develop a business plan, how to develop your business structure. So I guess it's really mentoring some of the young men that we have and leading them to the programs that we have in place, because I believe, we have programs. We have some great programs in the island. Sometimes we don't know about them. And that's what we want to kind of share out some information to the religious community so they know different programs that are available. And mentoring our young men to get involved, to connect to the system, because there's a system in place that can help them. I know we always say the system is set to fail, but we have some great nonprofit organizations and even government programs that are in place to be able to assist. But we need more men mentoring and leading and guiding. So there's a lot of great programs even for people that are interested in having their own business. And those services are free. How to do a business plan, how to manage your business and so forth. And also through the Economic Development Authority, they have different small loans that are available for people that are willing to develop and start their own business. But great suggestion, and thank you for sharing that, Pastor Hazel. Is there anyone else who has any feedback in reference to? Well, we're going to go more into the details of it for the training purposes. um, or when the training comes up, to understand really the different type of level mobilization for those that will be part of the coalition. Um, and those can change. We can make the adjustment to identify. That's really to identify the different crime rates and grade them as different level, and to know when one of the members of the coalition is going to respond to a scene. They know what they're responding to and what is required for them in that area. Yeah. So there's another thing I want to mention before I turn back to Ms. John Ayala, and it's the hurricane season is coming up. I don't know if you all heard about VI VOAD. Is anyone here a member of VI VOAD or have heard about it? You've heard about it. Anyone else heard about VI VOAD? Or is a member? Well, VI VOAD is Virgin Islands Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. And it's a great organization that is working together with VITEMA, with Director Barnes. And the purpose of this organization really is it's an umbrella organization that activates and provides volunteers to VITEMA in a moment that we have a disaster. And they're right now recruiting and promoting, and they want different churches and organizations to connect to VI VOAD, because in the moment that a disaster hits the island, VITEMA depends on volunteers to be able to distribute and provide assistance. There are some ministries and organizations that already have different disaster preparedness plan in place, and they assist their members or assist their community. But we need to do it also in a very structured format. So VI VOAD is that umbrella organization that will work with the different churches that are part of it to be able to provide services to the community in the moment that a disaster hits and strike. So if you're interested in forming part of that, and it's very crucial, because when FEMA, when there's a disaster and FEMA starts sending in different goods to be able to assist, for example, water and food and clothes and all of that, the plan is to have the different churches distribute those items. And also sometimes FEMA looks for different churches to receive funds to be able then to purchase and assist the community. But if you're not part of VI VOAD, then you won't be included in that process of receiving or distributing and providing services to the people within your community. So I want to motivate you to get involved. If you're interested, we can send more information to you about all the specifics, the vision and VI VOAD, and the mission and everything that is necessary, and what you need to do to become a member, because there's a membership fee, but it's something basic. I believe it's like $25 or $35, and you become member of VI VOAD, and you receive training. Let me ask you another question. For those that you don't have to lift your hand up, but just think about it. Do you, as a pastor or religious leader, does your church or ministry organization has an emergency plan in place in the moment of a disaster? That's something to think about. Do you have an emergency plan in place? And most organizations and ministries don't have an emergency plan in place. VI VOAD would assist you in creating and organizing and having your own emergency plan in place that is necessary. So if you're interested, just let me know and we'll provide more information for you, because hurricane season is coming up and we need to be prepared. And a lot of churches serve as shelters or as distribution centers, but we want to assist you to be able to expand your capacity and your ability to be able to serve better the community. All right? So thank you very much. Thank you for your time and your attention, and let's continue building together to improve the quality of life here in our Virgin Islands. Man, God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Carrion.
Yeah, I just want you to want to give my number and email address also. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call so that we can be able to assist you in any way possible. The office number is 773-1404. 773-1404 in St. Croix. In here in St. Thomas, 774-0001. 774-0001. And my cell phone number is 340, it's my personal number, 227-2266. 227-2266. Carrion, Carrion. Samuel Carrion. And also sometimes you might face some kind of situation or obstacle or within government. Just let me know in case we can assist. There's a lot of things that sometimes can be waived to nonprofit organizations and to churches. For example, if you're doing something for the community and using one of the facilities that belong to the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation, Commissioner Cruz has stated that he is very open to assist the religious community in anything that they need. So if there's anything that I can be of any help or service, please contact me. That's why I'm there to serve as liaison between the faith-based and the government.
Yes, I've spoken to many administration before the MAP administration. I'm not political, it's not political. But this is something that the church wanted when they came to us. It's something I said. They always talk about church and state and all kinds of craziness. But I want you to take those sentiments back to the governor, thanking him for the vision. When he came to talk to us, I shared with him that we need something like this, a liaison. You just come to talk to us, then we don't see you again. I mean, whatever happened to us, we give you a vote and you disappear. He's saying you're going to do something, and he's a man to his word, so tell him that we say thanks for you.
Thank you.
We need to write something too. I'll be glad to write that, because I think he is, at least, the other part of the politics I'm not involved in, but at least from us as a church. I spoke to former governors. Didn't get any result, but we get results from him. And I'm proud of the way that at least the reaction between the religious community and the administration. We have a man, pastor, who we can deal with. We want to say thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I would share your sentiments.
All right.
Thank you, Pastor Carrion. Well, as you can see, we have our work cut out for us. There's a lot for us as faith-based to do. And Pastor Gladstone, I'm thankful that you said that, because you cut it right there for me. I'm really thankful that the governor did see it fit in to appoint Pastor Carrion, and I'm happy that you're here today to bring all this information to us. Thank you again for that. At this time, if there are any questions for Pastor Carrion or myself or anything, we'll open the floor. Anybody?
Get together again as a big group.
When will we get together again as a big group? That is dependent on you. That is dependent on you. You just let me know. Basically, what I need from all the groups is that you get together, you meet, and you get your goals and objectives together. You know what your next steps are. And then when you know what your next steps are, myself or Pastor Carrion, because sometimes either of us will not be available, but at least one of us will be available, where we can either be conference called in, or we can actually come over to a meeting with you and hear what you have. As Pastor Carrion mentioned, Commissioner Cruz, he is very open to assisting. I know that in St. Croix, he has provided a constant meeting place that is central for all the committees to be able to meet and have their meetings. If it's something like that that you want, then we could always talk to him and see where it is that he can what areas he can assist us in. Okay, then we have Administrator Merwin Potter, who is a St. Thomas administrator, and he said at the luncheon that he's available. We also have Senior Policy Advisor Eugene Farrell, who said that he's available. So, it's just about making sure that you have your goals and objectives in place. And when you have your goals and objectives in place, then we can move forward. We need to know what your next steps are, where you're headed, and how we can assist you. Because if you don't have your goals and objectives in place, then you don't know where you're headed. If you don't know where you're headed, then you don't know, neither do we know how we can assist you. So it's just being able to put things in place and knowing where we go from here. And like I said, we're open to anything. For the prison ministry, I don't really like calling it prison ministry, but until we get a better name, what we can do is, I do know that Director Mulgrave and Warden Trotter on St. Croix have already said that they're open to us coming in and assisting as best as we can. So you let me know where we go from here, and how I can be instrumental in assisting you in getting in touch with them. And
I just want to say we're going to have a meeting because I know you all have been some challenges here in St. Thomas and also in St. Croix. There are some challenges. There have been some changes, within the BOC, and that has caused some challenges. So we want to have a sit down to be able to really discuss. But first we said we're going to do it at the first level, and then maybe go up to the director to kind of address these challenges if there's no changes in place, so that this partnership can really be effective.
thank you, Pastor Carrion. Okay? Yeah, so we're just here to facilitate. However we can help, we'll be willing to. And this is a man right here. So just happy that you're here today. I just need to keep mentioning that. Okay, without further ado, if there's no more questions or comments, we will go ahead and bring this meeting to a close. Okay. Who would like to close us in prayer? Pastor Zamore?
Let's rise.
And I would like to thank Pastor Oral Hazel for having us here. Thank you. We'd like to do a group picture, so can you come, please? Up here, Pastor? Can you come up here so we can do a quick group picture?